Have you ever wondered why some people find peace in silence, while others drown in it? Why some feel most alive in the comfort of their own room, where the world outside doesn't reach them? This is the psychology of the people who love staying at home, not laziness, not fear, but something far deeper, something the world rarely understands. For most people, the idea of staying at home feels like missing out, a sign of laziness or social withdrawal. But for those who truly love being at home, it's something entirely different. It's not about isolation, it's about control, safety, and the quiet power of having one's own space. A psychological fortress built not from fear, but from understanding how chaotic the world can be. When they close the door behind them, something in their mind exhales. The noise of the outside world fades away. The endless demands, the fake smiles, the unspoken expectations. Inside, everything is where it should be. The temperature, the lighting, the sounds, all under their control. In a world that constantly demands adaptation, this sense of control is their therapy. Dark psychology often describes this as territorial safety, the subconscious need to protect one's mental energy by creating and defending personal boundaries. These individuals don't necessarily hate the outside world, they just understand how much it costs them emotionally. Every trip outside requires small social performances, smiling at strangers, pretending to be interested, responding the right way, adjusting to every little cue. It's exhausting. Inside their own space, they don't have to wear a mask. Their environment bends to their will, and that control brings a deep, almost primal comfort. To them, the home isn't just a physical structure, it's a psychological landscape. Every corner, every object carries energy, a sense of familiarity that makes their thoughts flow freely. They can think, breathe, and exist without interruption. They can hear their own mind, and for those who feel deeply, that's a rare kind of peace. The world outside often feels like a battlefield of impressions, expectations, and unpredictable emotions. Every encounter is an energy exchange, and for someone who feels everything intensely, that's a heavy price to pay. The safety of their space also gives them clarity. When they're home, they can analyze life, observe people from a distance, and understand patterns that others miss. This is where dark psychology quietly plays its role, because staying home gives them a vantage point over human behavior. They start noticing how society pushes people to perform constantly, to be likable, active, and available, and they see how dangerous that pressure can be. So they choose to step back. They choose control over chaos, silence over small talk. There's also a deeper emotional truth behind this comfort. Many who love staying at home have experienced emotional turbulence in the past. Betrayal, overstimulation, or chronic anxiety that made them hyper-aware of their environment. By staying home, they aren't hiding from the world, they're healing from it. Their solitude isn't a prison, it's recovery. It's how they regain strength before facing the noise again. When you think about it, there's something beautifully paradoxical about these people. They seem withdrawn, yet they're often the most emotionally intelligent. They seem quiet, yet their inner world is louder than most can imagine. To love staying at home is not a weakness. It's a sign of a mind that understands itself too deeply to be drowned by the outside world. Some people are not afraid of the world. They're simply exhausted by it. They walk through life carrying an invisible weight that most people will never notice. Every sound, every voice, every emotional signal in the environment hits them harder than it should. They are the ones who often choose to stay home, not because they hate people, but because they feel too much. Their minds are like open channels, constantly absorbing the moods, tones, and energies around them. It's as if their emotional radar never turns off. When they step outside, it's not just the noise or the crowd that drains them, it's the constant pressure of feeling what others feel, even when they don't want to. This phenomenon is often connected to a trait known as high empathy, but in darker psychology, it has a more unsettling name: energy vampirism. The term doesn't always describe malicious intent. Sometimes it refers to the way social interactions unconsciously drain emotional energy. For those who are deeply sensitive, other people's presence can feel like walking into a storm. A simple conversation can leave them feeling hollow, like something has been quietly taken from them. They don't need to be shouted at or insulted. Just being around emotionally intense people is enough to deplete their strength. So staying at home becomes less about avoiding others and more about preserving energy. The world runs on performance, smiles, small talk, polite laughter, constant connection. But for someone who feels too deeply, this daily acting feels unnatural. Their nervous system reacts as if every social situation is an emotional transaction. They sense sadness behind forced laughter, tension behind silence, jealousy hidden in compliments. They don't just see people, they absorb them. Over time, this constant empathy becomes exhausting. Their brain begins associating social situations with emotional fatigue, creating a loop where the safest option is retreat. Home becomes a sanctuary where their emotions can breathe freely. They don't have to analyze anyone's tone, decode anyone's intentions, or absorb anyone's pain. There, they can exist without filtering the world through their sensitivity. In that quiet space, they recharge. They might read, think, or simply sit in silence, because silence for them is not emptiness, it's recovery. It's the moment when the noise of other minds finally fades away. People often mistake this behavior for antisocial tendencies or avoidance, but it's actually self-defense on a psychological level. When someone is constantly overstimulated, their brain craves isolation to restore balance. The body needs rest after physical exertion. The mind needs solitude after emotional overload. These individuals know this instinctively. They understand that peace is not found in people, but in stillness. So they stay home, not because they can't handle the world, but because they've learned the truth about it. They've seen how chaotic, draining, and performative it can be, and in the quiet of their own space, they find something far more precious than attention. They find emotional freedom. For those who love staying at home, solitude isn't emptiness, it's abundance. Their inner world is not a place of silence, but of constant motion, thought, and imagination. When the outside world grows too loud, they retreat into their own minds, where reality and reflection blend. To them, the home is not just a space of walls and furniture, it's the doorway to their most vivid world, a world that exists within. While others search for meaning in travel, parties, and noise, they find it in thought, creativity, and deep internal dialogue. Their solitude is not isolation, it's immersion. Immersion in the richness of their own consciousness. Inside their minds, conversations happen that no one hears. They debate with themselves, replay moments from the past, imagine future possibilities, and sometimes even create entire stories, scenarios, and ideas that never leave their lips. Their mental world is alive with complexity, a mix of memories, analysis, dreams, and hidden emotions. It's this inner depth that keeps them grounded. When they are at home, surrounded by quiet, their mind doesn't stop, it expands. They notice details others overlook, the tone in someone's voice, the subtle shift of emotion in a text, the unspoken meaning in silence. Dark psychology calls this hyperactive introspection, an intense awareness of one's own inner life. It's both a gift and a burden. On one side, it allows for extraordinary creativity and self-understanding. Many writers, thinkers, and inventors share this trait. They can live entire experiences in their imagination before taking a single step. On the other side, it can lead to overthinking, emotional spirals, and even detachment from reality. When your mind is that alive, it becomes easy to lose balance between thought and action. You begin to live more in ideas than in moments, yet those who love staying home often accept this imbalance because it feels authentic. The outer world seems shallow by comparison, filled with forced smiles and temporary excitement, but their inner world is infinite. It's where they find meaning, where they create, where they understand themselves. Their connection to solitude is not about rejecting people, it's about choosing depth over distraction. Every moment alone becomes an opportunity to explore something, a thought, a feeling, or a question no one else dares to ask. This type of mind sees the world differently. It looks beyond what's visible and searches for patterns in emotion, behavior, and experience. When they watch others from afar, they're not judging, they're studying, they're decoding the human condition from the safety of their inner space. That's why their stillness is deceptive. While they appear quiet, their mind is loud, analytical, and full of motion. People often say those who stay home are missing out, but in truth, they might be living more deeply than anyone else. While others chase experiences outside, they explore the vast, uncharted territories within themselves. Their world isn't smaller. It's limitless, invisible, and entirely their own. Many people who love staying at home didn't begin that way. They became that way, shaped by what they've seen, felt and learned about human behavior. Somewhere along the line, they realized that the world outside isn't as honest as it appears. They began to notice the masks people wear, the smiles that hide judgment, the compliments that carry envy, the friendships built on convenience rather than care. Over time, this awareness transforms them. It's not bitterness that keeps them home, it's clarity. Once you see how much of the world runs on pretense, peace becomes more valuable than popularity. In dark psychology, this understanding is tied to something known as the mask effect, the realization that most people play roles rather than live authentically. Every social space becomes a stage, and everyone acts according to what benefits them in that moment. The ones who stay home often see through this performance. They can sense manipulation in small gestures and dishonesty in casual words. They become attuned to the emotional energy behind behavior, the things people don't say but always reveal. And when you can see through masks that easily, being around others starts to feel heavy. You can no longer enjoy the illusion because you know it's not real. These individuals develop a kind of emotional X-ray vision. They pick up on micro-expressions, hidden motives, and patterns of deceit that most overlook. What others call just socializing, they experience as an exhausting web of reading, filtering, and protecting. Every interaction feels like a psychological chess match, subtle, demanding, and rarely genuine. So they choose not to play. They retreat not because they're weak, but because they're too perceptive for surface-level connections. Staying home becomes a way of preserving their authenticity. Over time, this withdrawal becomes a lifestyle of truth. When they're alone, they don't need to perform. They don't need to filter their words, adjust their tone, or measure their value through someone else's reaction. Their home becomes their most honest environment, a place where they can exist as they are, without judgment. They start valuing solitude more than attention, because solitude has no lies in it, no pretending, no games, just reality, raw and unfiltered. This doesn't mean they hate people, it means they've grown wary of patterns. They've watched trust break too easily and sincerity fade too quickly. They understand that most human relationships are built on emotional transactions. I'll give you attention if you make me feel something. And for a mind that seeks authenticity, that's unbearable. So they withdraw, not out of fear but out of intelligence. They know that sometimes peace is more valuable than company, and silence is more honest than conversation. In their quiet homes, they're not lonely. They're liberated. Away from masks, they can finally breathe without analyzing every move. They've chosen truth over performance, solitude over noise, and depth over deception. And in that choice lies a rare kind of freedom, the kind only the honest can understand. The world often tells us that to live fully, we must be seen, that success is measured by visibility, by how many people know our name or how often we're out in the world. But those who love staying at home understand something different, something quietly powerful. They've learned that freedom doesn't always come from movement. Sometimes it comes from stillness. They don't chase crowds, applause, or validation. Their peace isn't dependent on attention. They find liberation in their own company, in the calm rhythm of solitude. To them, home isn't confinement. It's freedom from everything artificial. There's a psychological depth to this. People who love staying home often reject the invisible pressures of social conformity. The world constantly tells us to do more, go out more, be seen more. But in that chase, most people lose themselves. They become fragments of what others expect them to be. The ones who stay home quietly resist that. They step out of the performance and reclaim the right to exist without an audience. It's not that they lack ambition, it's that they value authenticity more than attention. In a world obsessed with being noticed, they've mastered the art of being content in invisibility. This kind of solitude isn't passive, it's intentional. It's an act of power. While others depend on external validation, they find strength in self-connection. Their mind becomes their sanctuary. Every moment alone is a chance to think deeply, to reflect, to grow. They don't fear silence because silence speaks truth. They don't fear loneliness because they've befriended it. That's something few people ever do. They look inward and make peace with their own thoughts. And once you make peace with yourself, no one else can disturb you. In dark psychology, this state is sometimes described as psychological sovereignty. When an individual becomes emotionally self-sufficient, detached from the manipulative pull of social validation, these individuals don't rely on others to define their worth. They move at their own pace, feel without filters, and live without comparison. It's not arrogance, it's inner stability. They've realized that freedom isn't found in endless experiences or chaotic social circles, but in the quiet certainty of knowing who you are. There's also a subtle form of rebellion in this. Choosing solitude in a world that glorifies attention is a silent protest, a refusal to be consumed by noise. They choose peace over popularity, reflection over distraction, meaning over momentum. They understand that solitude sharpens awareness. It helps them see through illusions that others mistake for happiness. When they stay home, they're not missing life. They're experiencing it differently. They're observing it, understanding it, mastering it from the shadows. So while others chase validation, they build depth. While others fear silence, they find power in it. Their solitude is not weakness. It's strength disguised as stillness. They live on their own terms, quietly free, unbothered by the world's expectations. They don't need to be seen to exist because they already see themselves clearly. And that is the highest form of freedom a human mind can achieve. So the next time you see someone who prefers staying home, don't label them antisocial. Understand, they've chosen peace over noise, truth over masks, and depth over popularity. They are not hiding from life, they're just living it on their own terms. And that is the quiet rebellion of the human mind.